If you want to be ahead of 90% of people, especially when it comes to your professional life, you need to be good at speaking. Did you know that if you're well spoken, if you're considered good at speaking, you get more opportunities? And as someone who has actually gotten a lot of opportunities because I'm great at speaking eloquently, I thought this would be a great video for many of you, especially now that we are just in the start of the year, because this is a skill that is really going to change your life positively in many ways. Now, in this video, I'm going to be focusing on 4 things that are going to help you to speak eloquently. That is voice quality, the quality of your speech, expression, and context. And let's start with voice quality. Did you know that apart from exercising your body, you are supposed to be exercising your vocal cords? This idea of vocal exercises was quite foreign to me. I had always associated this idea of vocal exercises with music. I had been in the choir in my primary school years and my high school years. Obviously, if you're singing in the choir, before you start singing, you need to do vocal warm-ups and vocal exercises. But I always associated that with just singing. But the moment I started doing my YouTube videos, I started understanding the importance of vocal exercises. Because if you're someone like me in this kind of métier where you speak a lot, it means you're putting a lot of stress on your vocal cords. And if you're not exercising them regularly, you'll find that the more you speak, the more you're finding yourself running out of breath, the more you're finding yourself with a scratchy voice. You feel some kind of tightness around your throat because your voice quality is pretty bad. And so to really improve your voice quality, one of the things that you should be doing is vocal exercises or vocal warm-ups if you do not want to go all out. Some examples of vocal warm-ups include... It really makes me feel itchy over here. There's also humming. Definitely feel stupid to be doing this. Especially if you're living around people, they're going to be looking at you like, what is wrong with this person? But you always remember you're doing it for your own voice quality. It's not for anybody else. You're doing this because you want to improve how you speak. Other things that help you with your voice quality is your breathing. You need to get into the habit of deep breathing. Breathe from your diaphragm. Breathe. And that will give you the stamina to speak for longer. The other thing is having a good posture. You always find that people who walk like this, when they speak, most of the time they have trouble really communicating. They either run out of breath quite easily, or they just mumble, having trouble even speaking like this. That's why it's important to have the correct posture, 90 degrees. Always ensure that the air is moving quite sufficiently from your diaphragm all the way to your nose or your mouth. Why do I sound like an English teacher? Something else that is going to help you to develop great voice quality is teaching yourself to speak from your diaphragm and not from your throat. Actually, a lot of us speak from our throat. Now I'm actually going to be speaking from my throat, and what happens is that you'll run out of breaths quite easily. You'll find yourself speaking too fast. You'll even find yourself mumbling quite easily because you're not giving your because you're not giving yourself because you're not giving yourself enough time to actually see. I'm even forgetting what I'm supposed to say, for your brain to communicate what you're trying to say. This is hard. Let me try now speaking from my diaphragm. One of the benefits of speaking from your diaphragm is that you are able to pace yourself. And this means you're giving yourself ample time to communicate whatever is in your brain to your audience. And because you're pacing yourself quite well, it means you're giving yourself ample time to pronounce your words perfectly, to be eloquent. Speaking from your diaphragm also forces you to open your mouth. When I'm speaking from my throat, most of the time, you see, I'm not really being forced to open my mouth. When I start speaking from my diaphragm, my mouth suddenly is opening on its own. It's quite interesting, isn't it? I must say that I actually have a bad habit of speaking from my throat because it's easier, honestly. Speaking from my diaphragm, after a while, especially if you're filming videos like me, you start feeling a little bit of pain because yes, it takes a lot of time to get accustomed to. One of the other things that you should also be doing to improve your voice quality is hydrating, drinking water. The second thing that is going to help you to speak eloquently is the quality of your speech. This is about you really enunciating those words words perfectly. Can someone really tell what you're saying? One of the exercises we used to do in primary school is dictation. The teacher would come, read out some words, then the teacher would mark them. Did you get it right? If you didn't, well, you would be punished for that. And even if you're someone who always has trouble with how they're pronouncing their words, there are some exercises that you can do that are going to help you greatly. One of those is the famous tongue twisters. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to tongue twisters, they think that you have to say them in the fastest way possible. But that is not going to help you in any way, because saying it in the fastest way, it's not competition. You are trying to improve your quality of speech. And what you should be focusing on when you recite these tongue twisters is trying to articulate each and every word in the way that it's supposed to. Taking the example of the famous tongue twister, she sells seashells by the seashore. A lot of people, when they get something like this, they just try to do it very fast. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Well, how is that helping you? Who are you competing with? What you should be trying to do is try to enunciate each and every word in that phrase perfectly, and then once you get everything down, then you can try to increase your pace, to increase the rhythm. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Once you've actually mastered how to pronounce each and every word in the phrase, then it becomes easier for you to say it in a faster way, because you already know each and every component. There is no need to rush, because at the end of the day, it's a learning process and it takes time. You need to give yourself that grace, or else you're just going to burn yourself out because you're trying to compete with an imaginary someone. The other exercise that you can do to help you with articulation, it's a funny one actually. Take a pen, put it between your teeth and try reading a passage. This is actually a shortcut I try to use on the days that I'm filming, because I know I have very minimal time to do my warm-ups, and this is like my best warm-up. I always use French poems because when it comes to the French language, the difficulty is quite high when it comes to pronouncing the words. Forcing yourself to say the words out loud while having something between your teeth, it trains your lip muscles, your jaw muscles, and if you do this for a number of times, you will realize that, oh, speaking is actually very easy. The other thing that affects the quality of your speech is your accents, and I always say that your accent is a footprint of where you've been or where you come from. I think when it comes to accents specifically, there's just so much that I can speak about because it affects you in different ways. If you're learning a secondary language, most times your secondary language is going to be affected by your primary language. For example, when I speak French, I don't sound like the French people. I do find a lot of French people tell me that I speak French very well, but I know that when I speak, they know that I'm not a native French speaker. Because of the politics of accents, there's also something called accent privilege. I definitely know that in a country like Kenya, if you speak English with an accent that is laced with your mother tongue, you're going to be treated like less than. No one is going to take you seriously. But when you speak English with an American accent, or with a British accent, or with a French accent, people are going to worship you. There's so many things that comes with accents, the privilege of that, the discrimination of that. That is not something I want to cover in this video. Now, moving on to one of the other things that can help you to speak eloquently, which is expression. This is really about conveying your thoughts and feelings. Unfortunately, many people do not have this skill because it is not taught. Yes, you need to be taught how to express yourself. It's not just about speaking, it's also about what accompanies your speech. It's your facial expressions, it's your gestures. So one of the things that you should be doing to help you to become better at expressing yourself is reading. Reading is one of the best ways because it gives you the vocabulary, because it introduces you to different worlds, or even the worlds that are very similar to yours, to experiences that are very similar to yours, and you're able to get the language describing the things you've gone through. You can get that through books very easily. This is why reading is one of the most important things you should be doing, and not just reading self-development books. Read fiction, read history books, read science books. It helps you to build a wider vocabulary, and when you have a wider vocabulary, it means that you can express yourself quite well. Apart from reading books, one of the things I like doing is reading the dictionary. This is something that really helps you to build your vocabulary subconsciously. One day you'll find yourself saying a word and you're like, how did I even know how to use this word? But it's because when you get into the practice of learning new things, learning new vocabulary, it just goes into your subconscious and it just helps you in the long run. One of the things that I got from reading the dictionary is knowing that the act of thinking actually has a word, and that is cerebration. When I sit down and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about this, I'll just tell someone, do not interrupt my time, I am cerebrating. I was so happy to find that word because finally my favorite pastime has a name. Watching films is also a great way of learning how to express yourself. When it comes to films specifically, they've been written by professionals. The actors you're watching are trained professionals, so you can actually pick up cues on how to explain something, on how to act when you are in a certain environment. Moving on to the last aspect of speaking eloquently, that is understanding context. Context is really about understanding why a word has been used. For example, if I say I'm looking at the cloud, you should be able to tell whether I mean the clouds in the sky or the imaginary place where you store your data. One of the exercises that we used to do throughout school that really helped with understanding context is taking a book and tearing it apart, not literally, but ensuring that each and every word you come across, you understand it. You're asking yourself, why was this word used in this sentence? What does it mean? How does it contribute to the story? Why is this character acting like this? How are they contributing to the story? I'm going to show you an example of the book that we read in high school and how I used to tear it apart. Look at that. Just annotating, underlining, writing on the side your own thoughts. One of the things that you can do yourself is just speaking about 4 books and just going in. In Kiswahili we say unachambua, breaking down the sentences, the new words that you're finding. That is a great way of understanding context. This is one of the things that helps you to also come up with your own stories. So read and analyze and then ask a lot of questions. Those are the key components to understanding context. You also need to be someone who knows how to read a room, because sometimes you need to know when to keep quiet, when to speak, and what language to use. And when I say the kind of language I'm meaning, is it formal language, informal language? Are you using honorifics? I've been speaking for almost an hour and I'm so tired. My throat is on fire right now. I guess this is the end of the video. I hope that it's going to help you in one way or another. Remember, if you want to really get good at speaking eloquently, focus on your voice quality, focus on the quality of your speech, learn to express yourself, and then understand context.